year is 2021, and Libsyn launches the latest podcast on the Borgcast Galactica feed. In a freak mishap, Borgcast Galactica and its hosts, Peter and Anne-Marie, are blown out of their trajectory to re-emerge as Borg Rogers in the 25th century.
Hello, friend!
Hello!
And welcome to Borg Rogers 1.3, where we cover Vegas in Space! Oh, I'd have thought we practiced that, wasn't we? We haven't, I can assure you.
A situation has arisen at the Defense Directorate requiring a person of my peculiar background, as Dr. Hero would say, right? Wrong, I'm not interested.
Just trying to do you a favor. You did tell me that you liked to play 10 and 11, didn't you?
10 and 11?
Well, actually, I believe you called it blackjack.
Blackjack.
Yeah. The way Dr. Hewer and Major Landers have it worked out, they need someone who's very good at blackjack to go with her to Sinaloa.
To go with her?
You remember Major Landers? Major Marla Landers?
Oh, that Major Lander.
Yeah. She's much more familiar with Sinaloa than I am, so you'll be going off with her instead of me. That is on the off chance that you're interested.
Oh, I don't know, Wilma. I have to think about it. When do we leave?
Now, first thing to note is this is written by somebody called Anne Collins, which is kind of interesting. We've got a female writer here, which is good news, I think.
You start with combat fighters, and they are clearly not winning.
The hatchet fighters are back from the pilots, but at least for a decent reason this time, rather than they haven't got enough shots of the Scorpion fighters, so they reuse some hatchet fighters. But it's a bit weird. Is this supposed to be a simulation of some sort? Presumably, because Buck isn't actually destroyed, but we see the ships. There's no sense that this is like a holodeck or something that they then walk out of. It's a bit odd, really, isn't it?
It is, because you see the ships out the window. If you were only seeing them on the display, you could understand.
If there's just a little triangles, then it was the computer. But they're there, except they're not. It's very odd.
It is a bit peculiar, isn't it?
But there is a nice reference to Draconians from the pilot, so that's still a thing.
Yes. And basically Buck is saying, look, the computers aren't working, so you've got to have the pilots make the choice. And Wilma's saying, no, we can't do that because computers react faster. We can't react quick enough. Which I can, and he's saying, you're not used to it, you're not trained. Which again, I can understand if they're used to. And it used to be up until the Draconians that their computers worked. You can see that what they did was concentrate on navigation and the computers did the firing because the computers were better. So they are all out of practice in terms of their reflexes and reaction times. Because it's like, I don't know, it's like if you put me up there, it would be like, there's a plane, wah! Do you know what I mean? It's just, I'm just too slow to react to anything at all. So I get that, but one of the things that annoys me about this episode is the whole Buck Rogers going, oh, these people and their computers. Oh, back in my day, nobody thinks of themselves. Nobody can spell anymore because they all use texting. It's just really fucked me off.
I mean, I kind of with him theoretically on the computer-controlled targeting and stuff.
Yeah.
Presumably not being quite as good as finely honed human reactions. That's okay, that's fine. Later on, when somehow human beings are far better at judging, I don't know much about blackjack, but presumably it's all about luck.
And counting, and it's like people have lost the ability to do mental arithmetic because they're over-reliant.
Is that the sort of point he's making? Oh,
yes,
right, okay.
You have to be good at mental arithmetic in order to win at card games.
I didn't know how much of it was down to just pure luck, in which case it doesn't matter who you are.
There is an extent to which there's luck, yes, but if you know that there's 52 cards and you can track what cards other people have been given and what you've got, you know the likelihood, how much of things are left. So it's a balance of probabilities. So he's not winning every game, he'd lost 4.
And let's face it, as a NASA.
What's a NASA?
A NASA, yes. A NASA astronaut, and that's easy for you to say. He'd be presumably pretty good at maths.
Yes.
So, that's feasible, in which case I've got no problems at all with that side of this episode.
Yeah, so I can understand where Wilma's coming from. They're too slow, but I also think Bucky's right, where, if you train people up, their reaction rates will improve. They're just not used to it. Mm-hmm. So it's like they're both right.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And then he says to her, well, you got any plans tonight? And she says no. And then he just goes, too bad, I do. He's like, what?
What a troll.
And then you get to meet Felina, who's watching a vid of... And it says the woman who raised her.
I think it's more of a teacher, actually, I got the impression.
Is it? Because I wondered if she'd been dumped in an orphanage or something.
Maybe that might be the inference, I'm not sure. But anyway, Felina's played by Anna Alicia. Did you recognise her?
Yeah, but I don't know where from.
Okay, she was Aurora in Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, that's where I'm recognising her from.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was also in Battlestar Galactica 1980. She was the daughter of the farm owners in the pilot.
I'm sorry. I have deliberately blanked that from my mind.
Yeah.
I don't want to remember anybody from that.
She's also in Halloween 2. One of the nurses.
Have I seen that one?
I'm not sure you have necessarily. I have, but I'm not sure you sat through it with me.
I've seen the first Halloween.
Yeah. It's like just carrying on the story, but it's done with a lot less arty and it's a bit dull, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Well, it just have some good gruesome effects. But anyway, one of the nurses at one point gets their face melted in a jacuzzi type thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, she was also regular on Falcon Crest, and we've got BJ Count 1. I'm doing this from now on. At some point, I need to sit down and do the BJ counts for the episodes we've already done. But that's what I'm doing. We're having a BJ count, okay? BJ and the Bear. There's nothing wrong with this. It's not my fault the United States students give their programs weird names. Let's face it, she is not the best actor in the world.
God, no.
Certainly not in this. Oh, boy, terrible. Then we get, Rita, who's the elderly lady who was either a teacher or a surrogate mum or something. This is Alice Frost, and it was her last TV role, although she went on to live to the age of 92, dying in 1998. She was in The Twiglet Zone and Mrs. Columbo.
Oh.
Pop quiz. Who played the title character in Mrs. Columbo?
I didn't know there was a Mrs. Columbo.
You didn't know that? Oh, wow. Kate Mulgrew.
Captain Janeway?
Yes. Was Columbo's ex, effectively.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't think it ever featured over here, but it's one of those, if you know about Kate Mulgrew, you know that she played Mrs. Columbo, basically.
Oh, okay. I ended up at this stage earwormed with what I'm not even sure is a song. It might even just be a bit of a song.
Oh, this will be fun.
It was just something that goes, oh, Rita.
We could do so much better than this. Emotionally your faces and momentary bliss. We could do so much better than this. Oh, Rita, oh, Rita.
Gorillaz.
Is it?
Yes, that's Gorillaz, that is.
Oh.
Oh, that is a tune.
Yes. Well, that bit of it is. And so then Mr. Armat appears and he says, Felina, you've got to leave now. You're in danger. And you can tell that there's somebody about to attack her. And then she really...
The cameraman, by the looks of it.
Yeah, but then she just does a ridiculously over-the-top scream.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they needed to have cut the scene
Sooner,
before she then relaxed and kind of smiled.
Yeah.
Because that's really badly edited.
Very.
So Amos Armat, he's played by one Cesar Romero, whose best-known role is...
God, I don't know.
You're not very good at pop quizzes, are you?
No.
No, he was the Joker in 1960s Batman.
Right.
Yes. He was also in the original Ocean's 11. And that's quite a hat he sports.
I like his hat.
And he's got a cape because anybody who's even slightly villainous in Buck Rogers has to have a cape. It is apparently in the law.
Yeah. I like the cape, though. And then you get to meet Major... Now, is it Landis or Landers?
Marla Landers.
Landers, okay.
Yes. Who's played by, now I'm going to try and pronounce her first name, Ioannin, possibly? Clay? What do you reckon? Juanine? I don't know. Anyway, she was in War Games.
What's War Games?
If you've not seen War Games, wouldn't you like a game of chess?
What?
Wow! It's the game where the kid accidentally nearly starts a nuclear war by hacking into the wrong computer.
No.
Oh, I think it's on one of the streaming sites. You're watching War Games soon. The kids are as well. Because it's like, this is computers in the future, folks, in a similar way to Buck Rogers.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Big red and smiley.
Yes. They're not quite big red. It's a lot darker, I seem to remember, the computers now, but yes. Yeah. And it's nice to have another high-ranking woman.
Yeah.
Which is good. Although, when I first watched it, I'm like, why is this not Wilma?
Well, I'm glad they've got another character.
Mm-hmm.
But she says that Major Landers knows Vegas in space better and therefore is better placed to go on the mission.
So that's the in-show reason. The actual reason was because they weren't sure that Erin Gray was going to stick around.
Oh.
So they're basically trying out other female characters to see if they'll work or not. Oh. So it's a bit odd, really, because it could easily be Wilma, but as it happens...
They give a good enough reason, because otherwise it's like, why is it always the same person all the time? And the answer is that this person's got better skills, and there's a reason for Buck being there, which is that he's good at blackjack.
Yep.
So,
I mean, she's a perfectly serviceable character. There's not a great deal to her, but, it's all right.
Yeah. And then Mr. Armott wants the Defence Directorate to find Felina, and he's basically offering to turn himself in, and they list all the things he's done, which are all shady, including slave trading. What is it with the shit that we're watching at the moment and fucking slave traders?
Yeah. Planet of Slave Girls. You got... Mud's Women. Wow.
And, yeah, it's just...
They're not even from the same decades either, that's the thing.
But all the stuff we're watching
apart.
at the moment...
But apparently all the programmes right up to the 1990s were about slaves for some reason. Okay.
And then he says that Felina was a digital programmer.
Yes, I love that phrase. As opposed to an analogue one. I don't know what...
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
I think it's just like a sci-fi term they've just, plucked out of their arse, basically.
Space programmer.
Yeah. May as well have been. Yes.
And she saw a special code.
Mm.
And it gives away 3/4. Why did he say 3/4?
That was exactly why, though. Who says 3/4? Cesar Romero, apparently.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they don't have quarters in the future.
Yeah. They've abolished maths, you see. That's why they're crap at blackjack.
Right, yeah. They don't know what a quarter is anymore. Right.
Computers do everything, so they don't even understand fractions anymore. And don't get them started on cosines, because,
Like you know what one of those is.
I remember the nightmares. I don't remember how to do them anymore. I just remember it being horrific. And when number 2 child was doing them recently, it was like, no, don't look at me. And don't expect to ever use these ever again for the rest of your life.
It's only if you're doing shit with circles.
Mm.
Isn't it? And angles and triangles and things.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure Drew uses them a lot, but that's by the by.
I just think if they're to do with like geometry, architects probably have a use for them.
Possibly. Drew will set us right.
Yes. And then is it Tholosi or Velosi? I couldn't tell. How's it spelled?
It's spelt with a V. Hence he's got a V on the front of his top. Did you not notice? A shiny V.
I didn't. No.
Yeah. It's really sad. He's got his own branding.
Wow. And he would use the information to bring Mr. Ahmad down.
Ahmad, has he suddenly become Arab? What?
Well, they just say Ahmad, but that sounds to me like an Arabic name, Ahmad.
Okay, well, he wasn't dressed particularly Arabic. In fact, I don't think he was browned up either, so...
No,
now I'm
but
beginning to wonder now.
Well,
it's Armat, anyway, when you read
it
it from... Yes, from the...
Oh, okay.
From IMDb, so...
Because they pronounced it Ahmad.
Did they?
Ahmad, which... Oh, well, anyway.
Mm.
Anyway, that's what I thought it was, but never mind. But maybe it is Armat, I don't know.
Well, it's certainly written Armat, anyway.
Okay.
Can we move on?
Fair enough. And Landers says, isn't he going to know about hatchet fighters? That's going to be able to help us.
Mm.
And it's like, yes, I do. So that's the deal. You free her and I'll turn myself in and I'll also tell you everything I know about hatchet fighters. So it's like, yes, excellent, you've got a deal. And then Buck's fucking playing golf.
Yeah, how sad is that?
And he's got a little black spot that counts as the hole. What happened to, like, a cup turned on its side? Isn't that what people normally do?
No, but this is in the future. You can't be using cups on their sides in the future.
Oh. I'm surprised he hasn't got a future hole that makes a hole just because it's black and you put it on the floor.
Does Buck have a future hole? Well, there's a thought.
If you're so titled.
I mean, you do expect something slightly more electronic than that, that'll actually make a noise when the ball goes over it or something. But no, it's literally just a black spot that he's put on the floor.
The black spot!
Yeah.
And then he says that every NASA astronaut carried golf clubs with them because they wanted to play golf on the moon.
It's a bit of an exaggeration, but apparently one of the Apollo 14 astronauts did indeed smuggle golf balls and club heads, not the whole club, because it's a bit hard to smuggle an entire club aboard, and he then used something else as the sticky bit, put the club on the end and played a couple of strokes on the moon.
Okay.
So it's kind of based in fact, but it wasn't everybody that was taking them, no.
Yeah, but by this time, you see, it was in the 1980s when they were going to the moon. They did that. Apparently. And then he says to him, well, what were you going to ask me? And she's like, I wasn't going to ask you anything. And then they want someone who can play blackjack. And then it's like, oh, you're going to go Major Landers. Who's Major Landers? Oh, and then Wilma says she, and he's like, ooh, she, ooh. It's just like, oh, fuck off. I mean, why can't he just be interested in playing blackjack? Why can't he just go, yes, brilliant, I'll go and win money?
Because he's Buck, and he's testosterone charged.
Yeah. But it does involve him putting the uniform on again. The uniform that you said he didn't wear.
Yeah,
I
wasn't sure he did, but yeah, no, you're quite right. He does wear it for a few times, so.
And then they go to the planet of shit headgear.
Yeah, this doesn't work, does it? Because sometimes most of the initial setups are it's a planet with a weird red mist over it, and then when they dock and when they leave, it's kind of a space station.
Yes.
What's going on here?
And I'm not being funny, but it's a really shit-looking space station. Those entry and exits and all the orange, and what the fuck is it that they blow up and it's got green bits and it looks...
You mean the sets rather than the model?
Yeah. The sets are terrible, and the thing they blow up, which I'm guessing is the computer, the thing it most closely resembles, to my mind, is a chocolate toolbox. You know, when you could get out the...
Oh, yeah, I remember those. Yeah, they were quite cool. I seem to remember the chocolate wasn't bad either.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be part of a futuristic set of my choice.
No, it wouldn't. The model, by the way, is one that was they built on spec before the series even started, just to give themselves some models to use just in case. Yeah. It's like, oh, we've got this model here, we can use that. Doesn't look like the planet that they're landing on, but never mind, we're going to use it anyway.
Yeah, right.
We get a new Thunder Fighter debuting as well.
Did we?
Yes, it's a twin-seater.
Oh yes, you're right. They're not behind each other,
exactly.
Are they?
At least they went to the trouble of making a new model, so I'm going to give them some points for that.
But yeah, you've got all this stuff about getting through the barriers, and they're setting up the bombs, and then you get told, oh, the
So Tweak is effectively Q here, providing
the
gadgets they're going to need to do the mission, which is quite cool. Actually.
Yeah, I quite like that. And then when they get there, they're given ID cards, which is also a source of money. And then Major Lander says everything else you need, and he's like, everything? And she's like, within reason.
Yes, so no coke and hookers, I'm afraid, Buck.
Oh, dear. And they're doing this thing while they're travelling there, of looking at video footage, but with no sound of the people concerned.
Yes.
Weird as fuck, but fine.
Yeah.
And so you get to see Veloci, who just looks like guy from Planet of the Apes.
Well, he's our old favourite Richard Lynch.
Where do we know him from?
Oh, where do we know Richard Lynch from? He's one of our Borgcast favourites. He's one of the better things about Battlestar 1980, because he's the regional commander Xavier from the pilot. He's in Battlestar Galactica as Wolf, who's one of the convicts on Gun on Ice Planet Zero.
Oh, yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
He's got yet another Battlestar role that we've never seen, but apparently Richard Hatch tried to get a Battlestar reboot off the ground, and he was County Blee, apparently, in the, film, effectively fan film that he made. But where we most know him from is Star Trek The Next Generation.
What's he in that?
Gambit Parts 1 and 2 with a mighty mullet.
Yes! Yes!
He's Baran.
Ah.
But he was also baddies in... I mean, he's always baddies. But he was also in Automan, Manimal...
What was he in Automan?
A baddie.
Okay.
Manimal, the A-Team. He was in both Airwolf and Blue Thunder, which is some sort of No, trophy, I think you ought to be awarded
What's
for
Blue
being...
Thunder?
It was another helicopter
Okay.
80s series, yeah. And he's yet another caped villain in this.
Yay!
And in this case, cravatted too. So, man, he's got some style.
Oh. And then you also get to see, and I can't read, I've got no hands free. Here we go. Carl Morphus, the telepath, but they don't call him a telepath. They just say he can extract information from your subconscious.
Yeah, and in the end, he just uses like a truth joke, doesn't he? Or at least tries to. So, yeah, that's a bit odd. We've seen this guy before.
I did recognise him. I've been recognising everybody.
Yeah, well, that's one of the joys of Borg Rogers. These people just keep coming round and round. I mean, he was in the pilot of Borg Rogers, Joseph Wiseman. He was playing Emperor Draco in the pilot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And more famously, he's Dr. No in, well, Dr. No.
Okay. That's where I know him from then. My next note is just loving the purple. Because we get to see Veloci
And he's got a purple cloak.
Yeah. And a purple suit and a purple waistcoat.
He's probably got purple pants, but thankfully we don't get to see those.
No, I'm not sure I'd want to see his purple pants, to be honest.
He probably wouldn't give you much choice, considering how creepy
Yeah, you fucker.
he is. Yes.
I bet, though, he's got a really tasteful purple dressing gown.
Okay.
So he goes to see, what's her face? Felina, is that her name?
Yes, Felina, not Fellini. In the most ridiculous scene ever.
Oh my God. She just really, really overacts. And all he's done is stand there.
Yeah.
And she just really overacts. And she like has a massive tantrum. And then she
Throws glasses around for no good reason.
I know, it's just like what the, and then she collapses.
And he's doing absolutely
just
nothing.
There. He's just stood there. And then she collapses onto the floor and sobs into the chair.
Stop what you're doing. I'm not doing anything.
He's just looking at you. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, my life.
And it's, yeah, if he'd done something.
Yeah, if he'd looked particularly creepy or got a gun or... I don't know, he's just there.
He's just there. or if it was underacted, in other words, if she stood there like looking nervous, that would be fine. But what you get, you're just watching it going, what the fuck, you stupid bint, what are you doing? Oh, man. And then you get to see what looks like canine, but it's a green sheep. What's that?
Oh, we've been seeing these before in the Earth Defence Defectorate, as we're now calling it, hangar bay. They're just general droids, basically, but they do look pretty cheap and crap in that respect. But in this scene, they're carting people's luggage around.
Oh, okay. And then that you have someone's going through the special sensory things, and they arrest him, and they're like, he's got a computer. It's a fucking calculator.
This is the guy credited as Man. But that was a career highlight for Ted Chapman, who was, I think, he's listed in IMDb as a steward in Airplane. I think he's the really camp one. Could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen Airplane.
We need to show the kids Airplane.
We do, don't we? Yes, see what they make of it. Yes.
It's been
But
a
yes,
while.
he's set the alarms off of his computer, and it's blatantly just a calculator.
Oh, man. Then you've got Buck, and he's gambling. And as we've referenced before, he's doing very well because he's able to count.
I can't believe you've not mentioned his collars yet. Whew. Man, those collars, you could go hang gliding with those collars. It's like Han Solo, but done really, really 70s.
Yeah. What was the point?
Of the collars?
Yeah. Was there a reason?
It was the style of the time.
A bit like John Pertwee's shirts that were all
Yeah,
frilly.
yeah, exactly.
It's just that's how it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought those collars had gone out by the 80s. I think they were more 70s, but no, he's rocking that look.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and then the headgear. You've got someone in a swimming hat. You've got someone with a fucking headlamp.
Yes,
on
several
her
people
head.
with these weird headlamp things.
You've got one woman, it looks like she's got a swirly straw on her head. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
You also get to spot the late Felix Silla
Yes.
outside of the tweaky outfit, which is quite nice because he hasn't got an awful lot to do in this episode.
No.
So you may as well use him in the gambling scenes. I mean, it is cheese-tastic, isn't it? The whole, oh man, the music and the look.
And it's to me, it's not just that, because it's like bigged up as like Vegas in space.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you've seen footage of like actual Vegas.
Yeah.
But it's like fucking 20 times the size of what we get to see.
Yeah, no,
isn't it? It's really tiny.
It is. Yeah, this is what was it called? Is it Maplin's, the holiday camp?
Butlins,
yeah. If Butlins did Vegas, this is what
yes.
it would look like.
Yeah. Actually, not just Butlins did Vegas, just Butlins.
Yeah. Yeah, in the next room they're doing the knobbly knees competition.
And that's why Tandy gets told off, because she's not being good enough as a redcoat.
That's it, yes. In the Olympic-sized swimming pool. Yeah. We'll have the wrinkliest granny competition.
Oh, God. That makes Veloci the dude, doesn't it, from Heidi High?
Yes, well, which dude? Because there were a couple of dudes over the course of Heidi High, but yes.
I know the one I'm thinking of. He's quite chubby, dark brown hair, long sideburns.
Oh, no, that wouldn't be the Veloci role, because he wasn't in charge.
Oh, okay.
Ted, that was, in Heidi. Oh, God, this is taking me back. For those of you not from these shores, Heidi High was... How do you explain Heidi? Wasn't it by the same people who did Dad's Army? You may have heard of Dad's Army. But it was set in a holiday camp in the 60s?
Yeah, I think so.
And holiday camps in the 60s were grim in this country. And yes, a lot of the humour is extracted from that. And really rigidly organised. And
yes,
you had to get up at a certain time. And if you weren't in, the breakfast queue by a certain time, there was no breakfast for you. And... yeah, it was all very grim.
Yeah.
And yes, it featured Ted, who was like a really, really overweight Elvis.
Yes.
And he sang in an Elvis style as well. It's just embarrassing. He had a hit single.
Did he?
Yes.
Former Heidi High star Paul Shane launching an unprovoked assault on the Righteous Brothers.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. And there's no tenderness like before in your fingertips. You're trying hard not to show it, baby. But baby, I know you lost that loving feeling. Oh, that loving feeling.
God. This is because my thinking is, you see, this isn't Vegas in space. This is Heidi High in space.
This is, yes. I keep calling it Maplin's. Maplin's is the electric.
Yeah, Butlins.
Butlins in space, yeah. Except it's called... what was it called in the actual series? It wasn't Butlins, because otherwise the Butlins would have sued. It was something like Maplin's, I think, in the series. But anyway.
We don't need to talk about Heidi High anymore.
Sue Pollard. Oh, my life. Anyway, it was an English... I don't know if it's a British institution. Said it was an English institution.
Welsh as well?
Well, possibly. Well, Ruth was very Welsh, wasn't she, bless her? Yes.
But they definitely had Butlins in Wales.
Yes.
I don't know if they had them in Scotland, but they definitely had them in Wales.
So, yeah, possibly as much as a British institution, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
We got a little bit sidetracked.
Let's drag ourselves back to Borg Rogers, shall we? Because we ain't doing a podcast on bloody Heidi.
No, fuck that.
That is not happening.
No.
Hello, I'd be slightly tempted by,
No.
but no. That went on way too long.
No.
God, can you imagine by season 13 and they're still doing jokes about the fallen Madonna and the big boobies? Quick, save us! Move on!
Sorry!
We're digging an even bigger hole.
I'm sitting here speechless because I had already said let's get back to it, and then you started fucking talking about hello.
Carried on digging.
What are you on? Bloody hell. Anyway, back to the actual episode. Tanji has been reprimanded by Veloci because people have been complaining about her.
Yeah, I don't know what that's getting at, and I don't think I want to know either.
Well, I have a non-icky theory.
Mm-hmm.
So then she's with Buck and she's encouraging him while he wins. And then she's like, oh, with all that money you could. And then basically says, you need to use that money to get out of here. And that's what I think the complaints have probably been about. Like, I understand that she's desperate and she wants to get out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that would
but
be...
every time somebody wins, or do you know what I mean? She then says, you need to give me the money. That person then complains to Veloci, hence loads of complaints about it.
We haven't done Who Are You on Tangy yet, have we?
No. Do I know her as well?
Pamela Susan Swoop, also in Galactica 1980.
You see, I don't want to remember Galactica 1980, so you can just skip that bit and move on to what else she was in.
Halloween 2, would you believe, where she played a nurse. What the hell is going on here? She also had several appearances in Knight Rider.
Okay.
Which is another series I'd like to revisit at some time.
Oh, you know, I would, but it's got no spaceships in it.
And I've a horrible feeling it may be similar to the A-Team, because originally we were thinking of doing a podcast on the A-Team, but we got stuck in about season 4. Our son literally walked out the room and said, this is just too repetitive. It's like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I have a horrible feeling Knight Rider might be similar. Anyway, BJ Count 2.
Doesn't surprise me. I think she's a sex worker.
She is barely in those clothes, isn't she?
Yeah. So, and I can understand her desperation, don't get me wrong, but she's sort of throwing herself all over Buck and just being annoying, to be honest. And it did actually make me want to slap her. It really did. And I think it kind of fits with the character that it's her desperation.
Yes.
And, do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that it's badly acted. I'm not saying it's wrong. But I would have been annoyed by it if that were me. And I suspect that's where all these complaints are coming from.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that's what the writer intended. So, yeah, let's think nice thoughts, shall we?
Yeah. I mean, you know, otherwise, maybe she just didn't consent.
Yeah. That was kind of my feeling, unfortunately. But anyway, let's move on.
But then, at least...
We're going to end up back with Mud's women at this rate, so...
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is if that's the case, you know, at least she knows she can do that.
Yes, that's true.
Do you see what I mean?
That actually gives her a bit more strength than she has in this, where she's seemingly flinging herself at Buck.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not necessarily a Mud's women level of bad, is what I'm saying. I mean, it could be, but it's not necessarily. And then Buck and Marla have to pretend they don't know each other. So as he starts winning, she starts kicking up a scene saying he must be cheating, which isn't a problem because people don't normally win this often. But then Veloci's like, oh, you know, I'm interested in you. Come here, takes her ID card and says, you're not fucking going anywhere. And
yeah, he gets extra creepy, doesn't he, at this point?
Yeah. But she did say in the shuttle with Buck when they were looking at the very amusing silent video footage that made no sense. Anyway, that, you know, you don't get to leave unless he says.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, nasty fucker. And, you know, it's why do they make bad people wear purple? They and Nintendo are clearly on the same planet, aren't they? Because I always have to play the bad people to be a purple character, don't I? Like Waluigi. Purple is good. Don't fuck it up.
Right. Do I take over at this point?
Yes, after the purple rant, yes.
Yes. We get an actual moment of pathos from Buck as he remembers the astronauts that he served with. I suspect, I get the impression, partly because Gil Gerard's acting is notably better in this scene. This is the sort of thing he liked doing. He kind of, for some reason, he got it into his head that this was a serious series and didn't like the comedy stuff. Whereas, you know, just judging from the pilot, clearly it's all about the comedy, isn't it? But anyway, you know, he's doing his best to make something out of the material, I guess, and hopefully it was written that way. So we find out that Tangy is effectively enslaved by Veloci. So yes, that's our second lot of slaves in a row. She tries to persuade Buck to buy her freedom, promising immense gratitude. He excuses himself with, "I've got to see a man about a horse."
What is
Well, it's
that?
not a phrase I've heard in a long time. I mean, that dates him even, by 1980 standards, I think, certainly by ours. It was a betting reference. If you wanted to get out of a situation, you'd go out and say, I've got to see a man about a horse. In other words, I've got to put a bet down quickly because, with bets, you've got a limited time before the race starts. So that's where that comes from. It's likewise, see a man about a dog, actually, is the same thing. But anyway.
See, I always used to think that I've got to see a man about a dog. This just shows how weird my brain is, okay? I heard that much more often than see a man about a horse, okay? For some reason, see a man about a dog was something that somebody must have said a lot in my childhood. And I always used to think that they left their dog tied up to a lamppost outside and they had to go and rescue it.
No, it's greyhounds, I'm afraid. So there you go.
Okay. Where did I get the idea that they tied their dog up outside from?
Your bizarre, twisted mind. Anyway.
I probably then thought that somebody had left a horse outside, didn't I? The first time I heard "Got to see a man about a horse," I must have thought they tied their horse up. Maybe like D'Artagnan when he had to say goodbye to Sandy.
Let's move on. Creepy Veloci informs Marla that she's going to his room, which is nice.
Yeah.
Veloci says there's more to her than meets the eye. It's a shame Llama isn't covering this as well, isn't it?
Can we play out to that?
No, because
We're
we're
not
clearly
allowed.
playing out to Heidi High now, aren't we? There's
Oh,
no
shit,
escape.
yes. Fuck. That's going to be on the playlist
It is
now.
So, which we play whenever we do gaming, we play the Borgcast playlist. So we're going to be enjoying playing games to Heidi High. Buck is followed by Veloci's goon and gets in a fight with him. Veloci's goon. We haven't said anything about Veloci's goon, have we?
No.
Was
he in fucking Galactica 1980?
He wasn't, amazingly. Nor was he in Halloween 2. But
Okay.
But he was in the A-Team. Hey! Yes. Anyway, we have the regulation kick fight, because, we always have kick fights in these things, apparently. Buck ties him up and drugs him with a truth pill, which he amusingly lies about tasting of orange. And the guy eating goes, orange? It's like, I lied.
But what I love about this, though, is he says, I've got to get it in you.
Yeah.
And he says, there are other ways I can do that.
Rather than your mouth. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
This is a family show. Landers gets a reprieve as Morpheus arrives. No, not that one. This is not the Matrix. And points out that Felina won't survive his mind-reading technique. Buck goes to see Marla and tells her they're going to need a key to rescue Felina. And Landers realises she can get one from Veloci and starts to take her top off. And you think, woohoo! I'm going to see her in the nip. Bizarrely, no, she changes into a uniform. What? Anyway.
But she does it behind the strange art shit that I thought was toilet rolls. But they've obviously got in every room. There appears to be a dressing screen.
Yes, it's clearly the same room they used for the fight earlier, isn't it? But yes.
Yes, but you can imagine if this was a hotel, rooms are going to be pretty standardised, aren't
I
they?
suppose so. They've all got the same toilet roll art in them. Yeah.
Except it's a dressing screen, isn't it?
Is it? Well, it's not a very effective one, is it?
No. It's whatever way you want to look at it, it's shit.
Yes.
It's just terrible shit plastic piping of wrong, and I hate it. And I hate the furniture. The furniture is the same colour as the 3-piece suite my parents had. It just was cat shit brown.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And weird shapes as well.
Yeah, well, their 3-piece suite was weird shapes. If you can imagine, like it was recliner chairs, which were like a big thing. My parents, both of them, are obsessed with recliner chairs. I don't know why, but they both are.
Which, one of them's got battery-powered plug-in ones, haven't they? Wow. Yeah,
but
plug-in sofas. What the hell?
I know, but they're both obsessed with recliner chairs. Whether they became a thing in the late 70s or something, I don't know. But they had this properly fugly stitching down the bottom that made a little curtain bit.
Like a doily.
I don't know how to describe it, but it was just fucking awful. No, like lampshades. You know that?
Oh, yes, I know what you mean.
You know, right? And that's just totally with my brain. The thing was...
Brocade, I believe is the phrase.
Right. The thing is, we nearly fucking killed the cat because what happened was we had these recliner chairs with this brocade, as you call it, on the bottom. And after we'd got these chairs, we got a cat. And he loved this brocade. So he went and started playing with it, but underneath the chair.
The springs and
Yes,
the
yeah.
mechanics.
Yeah.
Oh, my. At best, cat catapulted into the air at worst. Smushed, yes.
Yes, well, he made a noise, and he was quite a vocal cat. And I think it was my dad then stopped, and because it was a mechanical, not electric. What is it with fucking anyway?
Yeah.
Because it was.
What kind of a sofa do you need to plug into the wall?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Now my brain has totally gone to a very wrong place, and I've just remembered the chair in Burn After Reading. That kind of sofa you might want to plug into the wall.
Let's move on.
Yes, sorry, we've done Heidi High and 70s furniture.
And Burn After Reading, yeah. Anyway, Landers. I don't know if I'd said this before,
We've lost the plot.
Time has lost all meaning at this point.
All morning.
All morning, even, yes. Good morning.
And evening.
Landers realises she can get a key from Veloci. Veloci arrives with another goon, but Buck takes the goon out and traps them in the room. Leaving, Buck bumps into Tangi and takes her with them as he goes on to rescue Felina. He sets off his invisible bombs in the departure area. Wow. And they get out in the confusion. The guards, by the way, seem to be dressed. I'm pretty sure we saw those costumes in Battlestar Galactica. Remember the Space Nazis?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure those are the same costumes, but anyway. I'm not going back to watch that again.
They might be ever so slightly tweaked, but yes, I recognise the costumes.
A guard nearly stops Buck, but Felina knocks him out with a rifle butt, which is a nice
like
move.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We learn that Armat and Veloci were supplying the hatchet fighters to Draconians as they come under attack by Forlem. Buck takes out 3 through his skilled flying, and Marla zaps the last one through shooting it. Hooray!
Yay.
Reunited with Armat, Felina asks why he would go to so much trouble to save her, and we find out that she's his daughter. He hands over the hatchet fighter data on an answering machine cassette. Wow.
Because that's what you do. What it is, you see, it's a series of messages.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't take your call at the moment. Beep! Yeah, we need to give you a design of this new fighter, and it does this and this and this. Oh, okay then. Beep!
We finally see Wilma again as Buck brags how good he is at blackjack. Hooray. Anyway, ultimately, it's all right. I mean, it lacks the cheese of the previous stories, unfortunately. It's not quite as extremely crap in that respect.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I found it so amusing. Their shitty Heidi High set of people with fucking odd hats.
That's the best bit about it, is the space casino, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Richard Lynch is always good value for money. He's particularly creepy in this. So
he is.
He's acting his socks off, bless him. But he's far too easily defeated, I think. He just ends up in a room, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're setting him up to come back, but I'm pretty sure, sadly, he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like what this episode most reminds me of in the way it works is, I think it's called Gambit, and it's an episode of Blake 7 where they've got the sort of casino planet.
The Clute.
The clit, as I called it by accident.
No, it's the Clute.
I know, but I accidentally called in the clit. Anyway, that one, it's a similar idea, isn't it?
It's a pale comparison because, yeah, the Blake 7 episode is far, far better.
And that's the problem, because that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
Blake
it's not
7
as good.
would have had a similar budget.
Speed chess! It did lack speed chess. And
it did. And
that elderly Marlene Dietrich.
Yes.
And
Servalan.
And who is the really camp guy who's in charge?
Oh, I can't remember.
It's not Rossini, but it's something like
that.
Yeah.
I think it might be Rossini.
Is he? Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah. But
his silver makeup.
That's what it reminded me of, and it wasn't as well realised on probably more money than Blake 7 had.
Yeah, no, it had far more money than Blake 7 did, but Blake 7 had more fun. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And less creepiness, to be honest, on the side of Blake 7.
That's true.
Yeah.
Blake 7 was later, was it?
Actually coterminous, because Blake 7, 78 through to 81, 82. And this is 1980, 1981. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you've got the Atlantic between them. But, yes, it's a fascinating comparison because, yeah, we're producing Blake 7 and they're doing Buck Rogers. Blimey, O'Reilly. Anyways, let's find out what other people thought.
I bet they didn't talk about Heidi High.
And yes, I'm not sure anybody's going to have referenced Heidi High, but here goes. You never know.
And we've heard from Jeff.
Yay.
Hello. Vegas in space. So I guess Erin Gray was on vacation while they were filming this episode? Or you explained, didn't you? Yeah. Major Landers feels like such an obvious replacement character, but that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's cool that the Defence Directorate seems to be mostly competent women at this point.
Yeah.
Buck and Marla had some fun interplay, and she never needed to be rescued. Heck, they even avoided that gross cliche where the female protagonist has to seduce the bad guy to get a MacGuffin. Yeah, you thought that's what she was going to do. She came out in her uniform.
Yeah, it was heading in that direction, and then, yes.
Speaking of bad guys, Richard Lynch is getting to be a pretty familiar face and always makes a perfectly serviceable villain. But I was really spoiled by Jack Palance's tour de force last time. They
true.
Peaked early in that department.
Oh, they did really, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah. Anna Alicia as Felina tried to make up for some of the slack with her very enthusiastic performance, but even her character was served well, as she wasn't just a simpering damsel, but got to dish it out in the thrilling escape. That's true.
She did, yes.
I'm not sure what purpose Tanji's character served, besides being in his skimpy outfit and being there to get mopey about his long-dead friends. It was a treat to see Cesar Romero out of clown makeup, and with Roddy McDowall last time, that's two classic Batman villains as guest stars already. I know we'll seek Frank Gorshin soon too, so now I'm holding out hope for Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather or Julie Newmar at some point too. Well, thanks again for a great podcast. It's been so much fun following this ridiculousness with you all. Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
It is ridiculousness. Yes. It's fun too, though.
And we've heard from Doreen.
Vegas in space was a bit of a nothing type story. It's left me speechless, I suppose. It didn't help that when Buck was trying to restrain the guard to give him the truth pill, he started talking about 2 ways to do it, and why do they always choose number 2, which got me thinking of Code Brown. And then he talked about how about number 1, and then I was thinking about all sorts of messes. And then he held up the pill and said, okay, you want to take it, you want number 1 rather than depository time. So really was thinking all sorts of weird things. And that was carried through to when the woman from Buck's society that he's ended up in finally taking a shot at the last fighter pilot and looking like she'd had a Code Brown situation. It was all just a bit weird. Anthony guessed that the woman that they'd rescued was the crime lord's daughter just before it got revealed. And the guy in charge of Vegas in space just reminded me of a vampire or a werewolf or something. Don't know why, but he just did. Got nothing else. Bye-bye.
All just a bit weird.
Yes, it is. And yes, our number 2 child thought exactly the same as you, that Richard Lynch was part werewolf, part vampire.
Yeah. And yeah, the whole Code Brown thing.
Yeah, and number 1s and number 2s are United Statesian thing. Is that a phrase they use, I wonder?
Well, we use it.
Yes, but I'm just thinking, because, that's not what Buck meant, but that's the way we will,
Oh, I see. So do they say it without meaning what we mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. United Statesians. Do you have number 1 meaning a we and number 2 meaning a poo? Or not? Is that not a thing?
Is poo a thing in the state? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, what would you say?
I think they say crap, don't they? You're going for a crap in the States.
Oh, whereas that's like a very mild swear word in this country.
Yes.
Oh, God, I'm getting really confused now. Do United Statesians say poo?
Yeah. Find that out as well.
Yeah, okay.
Cool, thank you, Doreen.
Thank you, Doreen. Oh, Sampo and Yona, what did they make of this one?
Hello.
Hello.
So we just watched Vegas in Space.
Okay, so what happens in Vegas in Space?
Again, started with the very anemic space battle, and they still apparently can't shoot with or without the computers.
I think the plot was quite complex, but it didn't seem like it in the screen.
very little actually happened. Thank God this wasn't a two-parter. But okay, so of course, again, they need Buck Rogers because apparently he's the only one who can gamble or something. Because
he was playing golf at the beginning, so...
Yeah, so did he drill a hole in his floor, or what was that about? Well, they didn't explain that.
Perhaps that told them that Buck Rogers is the best man to put in Vegas because he knows how to put balls
in holes.
But he actually doesn't.
We're
quite lousy in it.
We're getting hung up on the golf thing. And actually, fair enough, I mean, he actually was able to play. I mean, it seems like actually there was some...
They didn't let computers come in.
Yeah, I mean, that... The thing for Casino Real Vegas, someone accidentally walks into a casino with their cell phone and whoops, into the incinerator. Yes. Actually, there was some surprisingly deep stuff. Well, I don't know deep, but I mean, you could do some actual good science fiction stories about people getting dumb and not thinking for themselves anymore. And then here comes a person from 500 years ago who is actually smarter than everyone else. And
I think that's nice.
That in itself is actually a very good science fiction story. But I mean, they only spent about 2 minutes on that. And then we got an almost surprisingly sad scene when Buck Rogers actually started remembering his friends from the 20th century, which was
that is quite
out of place. I mean, jarring almost.
Oh my God, the man is gonna cry.
Something like
and
speaking of crying, sorry, I talked over you. What was her name? Not Fatima. What the woman, kidnapped woman? Falina, yeah, that was it. She was a terrible actor.
I think that maybe Falina was actually a reptile or some kind of lizard that lived and looked like human girl, and that's why she was such a lousy with the facial expressions, because actually she was a reptile and she just tried to act as human.
No, I think she was just a bad actor. But then there was the villain, the one who began with V. I mean, he was...
V for Vendetta.
Yeah, he was one for staring intently at people. I mean, the best example was when he was just staring at the... Falina. And she was just going crazy.
Yeah, Falina's reaction is just throw things around.
Yes, so the plan was go there, attract attention, trap a thug, put some truth serum into him, which was funny because we just rewatched Ant-Man and the Wasp, and from that we learned that there's no such thing as a truth serum. But anyway, then they find out that the girl is actually locked behind the door.
They were surprised and they were like, oh, we have no key. Oh, well then.
Yeah.
We can't do anything.
Oh no, locked door. We give up. Let's go. So the villain comes into her room, and then just Buck Rogers materializes from off screen and kicks his thug, and they lock him in there. And usually by the laws of drama, a villain who's left alive and locked in a room will reappear at some point, but we never saw him again, so I guess he's still in the room.
Starved to death.
Yes. And then there's the waitress who's basically is looking at Buck and is like, oh, you got 10,000 credits. Why don't you give them to me so I'll be free? And Buck is like, no. And then Marla's like, okay, I'll shoot her. And then Buck is like, okay, yes, take the money and take the gun. And I've got a big red pipe to climb.
But was she a waitress or was she a hooker?
Hostess, maybe. I mean, this episode should have been called The Planet of the Slave Women.
Totally.
Buck Rogers does some kung fu and explosions and smoke, and looks like he hits one of the guards with his butt, and then they escape and they go home. And apparently, I mean, Tangi was saying to Buck that you won't believe how grateful I'll be, and apparently she was, because they escorted her to Buck Rogers' room, which actually felt like a pretty icky way to end the episode. But
yeah, especially when Tangi wanted to be free, and now she just like changed the master.
Maybe she'll just be grateful for a bit and then go do something else. A bit of a strange episode, a bit all over the place, and
yeah.
I don't know what to say, but let's return next week.
Hope you have summery week.
Yes, it's summer here in Finland suddenly. Yay! It's very nice. Okay, bye.
Next time. Bye.
Bye. I didn't notice Buck hitting a guard with his butt.
Buck's butt attack. Wow. Yeah. And you're right, it is a bit of an icky ending, although at least it wasn't a threesome this time, I suppose.
Yeah. Although maybe actually what she was doing was playing golf.
Yeah, possibly. And Felina was bad.
Yeah,
yes.
Sorry, she's not a reptile. That would have been interesting if that had been actually the case, but no, just terrible, terrible actor. And yes, de-evolution can be an interesting sci-fi concept. I would recommend Heaven's River, the 4th Bobbyverse book, for exploring that concept further.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Drew and Tracy.
Hello, this is our feedback for Vegas in Space.
So what do we think of that one then?
Yeah.
It's alright. It's a bit like...
They're getting less and less
Lame-o.
good. Yeah, lame-o. That's
a bit
it.
lame-o.
Yeah.
Come on, Buck.
I
Get it
really
back
liked
together.
the first one we watched.
Yeah.
Really did. The second one, yeah. This one is like, I'm now going,
I just feel like these are now like El Fromage. That's all I can describe them as.
Yeah.
El Fromage. But let's go through some points.
Okay.
Come on then. So we had Armot.
Yes, Caesar
who
Romero.
was the big baddie who we was like, wow.
Yes, I
that
know. I love a bit
Joker.
of Caesar.
But I did say to you originally, he looks like someone from The Wizard of Oz. He looks like someone
Yeah, I
who
know
he
he
should have
did,
been like
yes.
in Oz.
Yes.
But then when you kind of like found out it was Caesar Romero, kind of like that's the only gear he could have wore.
Yes, I
And he had
guess
a very
so.
small part in relation
I
because
know,
he was
that's
at the
right.
beginning.
It was the credits.
And then he
like
was
a
at the
bit-
end.
Yeah.
When he came up in the credits, I didn't see it, but you did, and you was like, wow!
Yeah,
He was getting quite
yeah,
excited.
he's a legend. Yep.
So you had Veloci, who was like the main
Yes.
baddie. So he's like the kingpin of Vegas, I guess.
Yeah, we'd seen him before. He was in Galactica 80,
He
wasn't
was
he? He
in
was the baddie,
Galactica
and
80,
I
yeah.
guess a good old Glenn A. Larson baddie there.
Yeah.
He's clothes, isn't it? It's a bold look, the purple pinstripe suit with a black cape. Although it does scream, I'm a baddie.
Well, yeah, but he had like the Dracula cape going
Yeah,
on,
that's what I'm
didn't
saying.
he?
Black
Yeah.
Dracula cape with a purple pinstripe suit and like double medallions on the
Yeah,
shoulders.
yeah.
The whole of the fashions of this was just like really dragging it down, I think.
Leave it out. There's no fashion on this.
Oh,
It's
it's
all
a
bonkers.
70s fashion,
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
it?
all bonkers. And what the flipping Nora was Tangy wearing?
I know.
Holy
When she first
moly.
turned red, it was like she had like about 3 inch of material covering like
Yeah.
the whole of her. Yeah.
The whole to be like.
Yes.
Well, let's leave it there anyway. So Felina,
Yes.
not quite sure I kind of got all that stupid.
Yeah, that bit when she
Like-
first meets Pelosi and she's just like,
Yeah.
oh, stop looking at me. It's strange, isn't
It was
it?
a bit bonkers. So Buck's companion on this, like
Yeah, the
from-
Wilma standing.
Yeah, I can't remember her
Why
name.
wasn't Wilma in it?
Apologies. Well, she was, but she was in
Yeah,
her like
why did they
skin
go,
tight.
oh, we're just going to give like
Because they
someone
couldn't get
else?
her out of that blue skin tight
Oh,
suit
yeah,
to
but
get
it
her
could
into
be.
anything else.
Maybe.
So she was stuck. But anyway, so Buck's companion on this.
Yep.
When they got to
Vegas in space.
Vegas in space, and she was like, "Oh, and remember, we don't know each other. You've got about 100 people looking at you. You're wearing the same fucking outfits.
No, they're
love.
both
They
wearing the
know
same. They're
that
both
you are-
wearing the same uniform. I guess she meant later on when we get
well,
changed.
later on,
but
too bad. But it's all,
didn't-
you know,
yeah.
you've already been seen.
Yes.
You should have changed before you flipping got off the ship.
Yep. So there's a running theme through this, isn't there, of anti-computers? Like, we've seen it before with, like, the fighters and Buck saying, oh, don't use your computers. And now even more, like, saying, no one's using their brain. What's all
Well, they
this
were kind
about?
of, he was kind of mocking the computer, saying, "Oh, you know, the brain can't beat the computer." And
Well, no,
things like-
that's what he was saying. Everyone's using computers, not using their brain.
Yeah, but in this, he was saying you can't beat. You know, the brain can beat a computer.
Yeah.
That's why I'm winning at poker. And also, the good thing about a brain is that you don't, or you playing against a computer, is you don't have to tip it.
Yeah,
Well-
it's like a big anti-computer thing, isn't it?
Well-
Was this a thing in the 70s or 80s, whenever this was made?
Yeah, well, Glenn
Strange,
A.
isn't
Larson, like, needed to get a bit of like reality.
Yeah.
If you like, because goodness me. Anyway, this was all right. It was a bit vanilla.
Yeah.
It wasn't too good.
It wasn't. It's not super great, I'd say.
No, it was a bit boring.
Yeah.
In all honesty, and you know, for fuck's sake, if you're going to have a buck fight, make sure the camera is not on stunt double's
it's
face
total face
as
of the
they're
guy.
doing
Yes.
it. We were just like, oh, leave it out.
I think we got to get over that. I was going to be saying this on every episode.
But I also love the way that after Buck's apparently done a lot of kick, he has a little bit of a bounce on him.
Yeah.
I like that. Anyway, should we leave it there?
Okay.
All right, let's leave it there. Take it easy, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, yeah. That acting. Yeah, this isn't the best episode.
No, it's a come down from the previous ones. I think the two-part that's coming up is one of my favourites, so I've got high hopes for it. But
And any of the episodes that have disco dancing in are worth watching. You've got have we done the roller skates? We haven't done the roller skates.
No.
Have we? No. And the ones with the stupid tables?
Can't remember that.
You have to put your hand on the table or something while you're dancing. It was very ridiculous. Anyway, there's some proper silly cheese to come. This was just, a bit of a mess, really, wasn't it? It was entertaining enough,
yes.
But it wasn't...
Slight fun, but there wasn't so much to this, it has to be said.
It was more make you smile than make you laugh.
Yeah.
But
Veloci's clothes did scream, "I'm a baddie."
Yes.
Quite right.
Yeah.
And the fact that they turn up in their uniforms is a trifle odd.
Yeah,
We're
undercover mission in our uniform.
Yeah, nobody will recognise this once we've changed out of them. But that whole thing about not trusting computers, except which you would get that message from this story, but from the pilot, of course, it was the opposite. The computers were making a far better job of running humanity than humanity did, and, there wasn't any sort of criticism of computers there, so...
Yeah.
Mixed messages.
Yes. What did Purry make of this?
Hello, Orcs. Purry here to talk about Vegas and space. Oh, I'd have loved to see the meeting they picked that name. That must have been a long one. What is it? It's an episode where he goes to casino in space, kind of like Vegas. So what, like a Vegas in space? Yeah. Right, done. This is entertaining enough. The main two questions that I've got from this, and there are two very pertinent questions from this episode. One is, what the hell is the seating arrangement in a Thunder Fighter? Generally, we've seen them kind of the tandem seating, one behind the other. And I've often wondered how many seats as well. They seem to carry as many people as they need. But in this one, Buck and not Wilma were sitting side by side. I thought that was a bit weird. The second part is, why wasn't Wilma in this episode much? She's in at the beginning, and she's in a bit at the end, but we've kind of got spare Deering. She was good enough, but it's just kind of, you're wondering, why is Wilma Deering not there? I don't know, was the actress busy? It just, because, all the things that Wilma would be doing were being done by that other actress, so it's a bit weird. There were some good bits. I kind of like the idea of it wasn't quite a heist. It was Buck's again pulled in because of his unconventional style. He's kind of a contractor, effectively. And he's brought in to rescue this woman because she's on this corrupt planet with a crime lord and whatnot. Nice to see Cesar Romero. They're original and arguably still one of the best Jokers, as the other crime lord willing to hand himself in to get this woman back. So they're very much in a rescue mission. And I quite like them doing some of the kind of spy stuff. And this, it did have a bit of a James Bond feel. And there was also that rather odd bit, again, a sudden tonal shift. When Buck starts reminiscing about his friends and how they're all dead, it's this kind of bizarre thing. The episode did suddenly go down that route of that he's realising that everyone, he's kind of reminiscing about going to the casino. I did find a couple of things. There was that weird subplot with the woman who's wearing almost an entire disco ball. Her sort of wanting to escape and helping them, but she just seemed to largely be there. Did she really contribute much to the plot? Maybe helped a little, but I don't know. You could probably run the whole episode without her, which makes me wonder why she's there, because, it did seem a little bit like, it was just a bit of an odd thing. But overall the episode rattles around quite nicely. I think the only thing which bothered me a bit was they were going on and on about Buck can win at this game because he relies on his brain, not computers, and there does seem to be this ongoing theme again, Buck trying to make people target the computers and they're all too dependent, and it's again part of me is that I am a fairly pro-tech person, so it's always this thing of actually the best thing is the human brain. It's like actually a lot of the time it isn't. The human brain's a fairly squidgy, messy thing which causes a lot of problems at times. But like I say, there's really, like I say, there's not too much to say about this. It's just it's a kind of, they go to Vegas, but it's in space. The crime lord guy, he was. I think the scene which did make me laugh was when he appears in the captured woman's room and just kind of stares at her without saying anything forever. And she starts screaming and freaking out and throwing tables around. And I don't know why, I just found that unintentionally funny. But yeah, it was kind of nice that they didn't sort of defeat him. They basically locked him in his room and escaped. They didn't. He wasn't beaten and his casino overturned. So I suppose there is that he could appear again as a villain. Don't think he will, but he could. So yeah, enjoyable enough episode. So all it remains for me to say is do keep up the good work. I always look forward to the podcast and I'll feedback for the next one. But until then, bye for now.
Bye. Well, hopefully we answered your couple of queries. This is indeed a different model of Thunder Fighter, and they went to the trouble of making a new model for it as well, so that's impressive. And yes, they're trying out Wilma alternatives, but ultimately they won't need to.
Yeah. And yes, human brains are fairly squidgy, messy things.
Particularly mine, yeah.
I get that out of practice, human reactions would have slowed, but the anti-tech stuff winds me up. As anybody who's listened to previous podcasts would know, it can make me quite angry.
Cool. Well, as I've already hinted at, next time we're covering a two-parter, The Plot to Kill a City.
Right.
These titles are a bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't bear a great deal on the actual story. But anyway, it's got some more fantastic guest stars to look out for. And I seem to remember it's got some quite fun camp action in it. So something to look forward to there, I think. And we'll record, on the 27th of May.
And hopefully it will have disco dancing in it and will be a good one.
We shall see. I can't remember. This is the one I think it is. It's got like a whole league of villains in it. It's just amusing.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, folks. Take care. Cheery bye.
Bye.
So much better than this. Oh, Rita, oh, Rita.
Your potential, you lack credentials, and you are special, so fucking special. Oh, how you need it.
The voiceover for Borg Rogers was provided by Michael David Sims from Earth2.net.
The Buck Rogers theme was played by Drew Barker. All other music is used for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
The artwork for this podcast was created by Andy Palastides.
To contact us, send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Contact us via Twitter at rev_org or Borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Visit our website at galactica.libsyn.com
or view images relating to our cast on our Tumblr site, borgcast.tumblr.com.
You can join our Facebook page. There's also a Spotify playlist with all our play-out tunes on it.
It makes me sick to think you ain't happy in your skin is where it fit. To think like Borg don't blink, it just flickers. Set them then it pops and withers your attack. Keep twist that you deserve, so then it makes me sick.
Shut it down!
Stop looking at me!